Hi, my name is Paige Huffman. I'm answering the question how might you as a nursing administrator address recruitment and retention strategies in your setting utilizing several of the leadership principles in your readings throughout the course. As a nursing administrator addressing the CEO, I would have several points that I would want to go over. I'd initially greet the CEO and introduce myself, and then provide a brief synopsis of the point of the meeting. I think it's important to explain why we're meeting and what all I want to go over. I would first like to point out that, being a nursing administrator is difficult and it's complex and it requires a lot of responsibility and thoughts that are important with working with a bunch of nurses and trying to recruit new nurses and retain the current ones we have. I think with today's society, of the older generation getting sicker and the current staffing shortage, we find ourselves in a little bit of a bind, and I think that's true in any hospital system, that there's always a nursing shortage and there's more patients than we have nurses usually. Another stressor that I would like to go over is some of the new nurses that we employ are only staying for a short period of time and are leaving to either advance their careers and go into a more difficult unit like the ICU or the ED, or into advanced practice roles and kind of leave the system as a whole. So that is another big obstacle that we find ourselves facing. This is leaving us in a state where we're not able to fully meet all of our demands, and that is why we're having a hard time retaining some of our staff, which brings me to the topic of recruitment and retention. I think it's important to start with the current staff we have and the current work environments that we are working with, and finding ways to return our current staff versus recruiting new staff. I think we would go over, the positive and negative of each and then work towards a solution. I think, with the current situations that we have on the units, we find most people are leaving their jobs because they're unhappy or they, again, want to move forward, and so we're losing some of our staff on our current units. And by eliminating or changing some of the negativity with the current staff, we could possibly retain our staff for longer periods of time, and then this would in turn make our environments more desirable for future staff, which would be a huge benefit. I think when talking about recruitment, we would need to go over the type of staff we are seeking to employ. I think it's important to have a balance of experienced nurses along with inexperienced nurses that come as new grads or new hires. It's become increasingly difficult to find experienced staff that will fit in with the current staff and be open to change. I think experienced staff are already set in their ways, and so it's difficult to mold them into what our staff currently has. With new hires, it's easier to mold these individuals into our vision because they don't have a vision, or they're more willing to work with us, so that's nice. I think it's important to know what we are seeking when we're looking for these individuals. We want them to possess several characteristics of servant leaders. We as nurses are some of the most caring individuals in the world, so we want to make sure that we employ people with the right characteristics. So I think some important principles obviously include listening. We need to show our employees that not only is it important to listen to our patients, but to each other when we're working good as a team. It's good to know that you have people supporting you. Another important principle that I would like to enforce is growth. I think we need to foster employees for growth within the hospital, and an important part of recruitment and retention is the opportunity for growth. So any opportunity we can give them is obviously a bonus on our part. And finally, one of the most important principles is community. We need to build a community where our employees find it enjoyable to come to work, because when you have happy employees, you usually have a happy work environment. So I think it's important that we build a community within the organization that will retain our current nurses and provide a place for future employees to enjoy. I think another important aspect is to make our salaries competitive if we want to recruit new nurses. I think pay is a big part of recruitment and retention. We need to show that we're competitive with our local hospital systems. And then, once again, finally, awareness, I think, is another good principle. We need to let our staff know that we are aware of changing times and the hard environments that they've been working in, but we also need to make them aware that we are constantly trying to work within our means to give them the best, and that we are on their side. I think when they think administration, they think we're too big and can't lower ourselves down to their level and really relate to them. So we need to let them know that we're aware and working towards a better environment, and I believe that is how we will recruit and retain new nurses. Thank you.